Good evening, folks. How are you doing tonight? Hope you've been having a great time. Hope you have a fantastic weekend so far. A lot of people have been celebrating because they've been getting the COVID-19 jabs, and they're beginning to believe that maybe there's some hope in the horizon for things to go back to near normal, so to speak. At this time of the year, things always pick up when it is 2 years to the political changeover in Nigeria. Nigeria is a very peculiar country, very, very interesting country. It's made up of 36 states with various nations within the nation. Hence why the country is supposed to be the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But there has been quite a lot of angst from different groups all over the country talking about the issue of resource control. Resource control, you might ask, what is resource control? Well, I'm not an expert, but the little I do know is this. When it comes to resource control, it basically means that different parts of the country actually have or they're endowed with mineral resources. Now, those mineral resources are not controlled by the states, by the people, local governments or the people directly, but they're controlled by federal government. And then the federal government gives a share of the resources or the dividends of the resources to the people. That has been the major angst for most people. And the foundation of Nigeria, when you talk of federalism, is actually dependent on the pre-independence constitution of 1954, called the Littleton Constitution. That constitution has been what they have been building various constitutional amendments upon over and over and over again. But that issue of resource control is still something that has been on since 1954. That's a very, very long time to be discussing on what you think you own or what you don't own. Tonight, we're going to be talking to somebody that is an amazing fellow. He's one of the very few individuals to have practiced politics on two continents, as a matter of fact. I was going to say two countries, but it's two continents. So he was actively involved in politics back in Nigeria. He now resides in the Republic of Ireland and he practices politics with the Fine Gael party. It's a Republican party in the Republic of Ireland. A very interesting party as well. And I think he has quite a bit to enlighten us about when it comes to the issue of resource control, particularly because he's actually from the oil-rich Niger Delta region. His name is Dr. Patrick Ofolu. Dr. Ofolu.
Mr. Habib, what's up?
Good evening. How are you today?
Yes, I'm doing great. And how are you too?
Okay, I'm grand. It's pretty exciting to have you on board, to have you come here.
Fantastic.
We've been chasing you for quite a while, almost a year. To actually get you to come up on board and actually have this particular discussion around. There are so many things, that we could discuss with you. But we actually wanted to discuss this resource control. And the reason why we said there's so many things that we could have discussed with you is because you're a multi-talented person. So you're in politics, you're a music lover. As people can see, they can see the guitar behind you. So that tells its own story. You're a humanitarian. You do quite a lot of things in the background when it comes to helping people who are either less privileged or, should I say, people who are in need. You are also very vocal when it comes to social issues. And that is what most people do know you for. Now, Dr. Ofolu, can we know a little bit about you, about yourself? There's doctor there. A lot of people initially think you're a medical doctor, but they would like to know a little bit more.
Okay. Habib, thank you much for having me. It's a privilege. I'm a fan of yours, and I'm a fan of the program as well. Well, I'm Patrick Ofolu. I'm a management consultant. I run a firm called Africat Incorporated in Ireland, and I'm also involved in charitable and NGO outreaches. And like you said, I'm a member of the Fine Gael political party in Ireland. And I'm a strategic partner of a consortium called Niger Delta Consortium. It's a consortium that a few professionals in the diaspora came together to put as a vehicle to drive development in the Niger Delta. And I'm also on the board of an NGO called Peace Aid Project. So it is PAP. So Peace Aid Project is a Nigerian NGO. It was created in the UK. Then we moved it into Nigeria to also help conflict areas, achieve some sort of development, help people that have been affected by conflict to get back on their feet, help them, develop small scale businesses, and bring them back to some sort of normal after conflict in those regions. So that's the brief thing about me. I'm married. I'm a father of 4 beautiful children, and I reside here. So I'm happy to be here, babe.
That's brilliant. So now we've heard a little bit about your uniqueness in terms of you having been in the political arena on 2 continents. It's a large achievement, something that a lot of people will probably never be able to achieve. Now, that gives you a unique perspective on quite a few things when you talk about that great country called Nigeria, where you are from, I am from, and a lot of people are always having discussions around Nigeria, the makeup of Nigeria, the peculiar issues that Nigeria keeps, suffering year in and year out. Now we are running up to the next political dispensation where people have started campaigning unofficially. That is, they will soon start, the official campaigns. The one thing that has been a constant so far when it comes to Nigeria is the issue of resource control. Nigeria is a very endowed country. Nigeria has all sorts of mineral resources.
Absolutely.
Nigeria is a littoral country, actually has the sea as well. That's what it means by a littoral country. So there's so much that can be achieved, but yet there's a lot that is wrong in the country. Now, when it comes to the issue of true federalism, we'll start from there. Do you think Nigeria is practicing true federalism?
Absolutely not. Nigeria is not practicing true federalism. As a matter of fact, we all know the history of Nigeria, the political history of Nigeria when it comes to how we got independence from the British. Okay, let me start from the 1914 amalgamation. So from there, two regions, 2 protectorates was created out of the region, which is the northern and the southern protectorate. So we went up until you talked about the Littleton Constitution. Okay, there was a time in I think this was in 1952. There was the Lancaster Conference, where the leaders of the region were brought together. They were summoned actually by the United Kingdom, to come over to the UK and have a talk on the city of independence, so to say. So, and the type of government that will be suitable for the country called Nigeria. So they were summoned to the UK. So they had that meeting, and the outcome, well, the people that went to represent us in that meeting, there was a conflict of interest amongst those people. Some people were in favor of federalism, and some other people were in favor of unitary system of government. So there was a group called the Zikists that were in favor of unitary system of government. After all of these dialogue and discussions, the Federalists won the day. So independence was was achieved. And in 1960, that was in 1960, 1963, we were given a Republican constitution. So, and it was this constitution, that you talk about the Littleton Constitution. So it was this constitution that we have been using as a policy document to drive our process right from independence. So, but that particular constitution was actually designed in such a way that it was really a federal system, So because at the time we had regions and government, and we had federation units. So this was a beautiful system of government that worked very well for the people. The regions did very well. I mean, the 3 regions, until it became the Midwest was added up onto it, and from that whole system of government, the regions were able to compete independently amongst themselves. Power was decentralized. The likes of the Southwest, achieved a lot through the leadership of Chief Obafemi Awolowo. They were able, with resources like cocoa and whatnot in the Southwest, they were able to drive development. The advent of or the creation of the first television station in Africa. Even before most other Western television stations came up, Nigeria had already had one way before South Africa and so many other countries. This was the era of free education in that region. If you go to the north, yeah.
Even before Nigeria had,
exactly. So if you go to the north, there was absolutely. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that actually worked very well. It was a system that created most of the information today in Nigeria. So but over the years after those period, in 19, I think it was in 1966, there was a coup that brought in the Nigerian and his entourage. They came and they started altering the system, So, and it went on and on and on and on up until I think this was 1999, where there had to be a transition. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that the military took from this parliamentary, federal system of government, and narrowed it into a central system of government, which is what we are actually looking at today, that has created a lot of problems for us. And this is one of the reasons why the issue of resource control will always be, it's an albatross, basically. It's hanging on our necks. We have to fix it, because back in the days, the regions were, there was devolution of power. The regions were involved in the creativity of or exploration of their resources, so it was easy. So there was no need for the issue of resource control, up until the military came and centralized everything, and it became, you and I know that in the constitution there's the exclusive list that is only within the purview of the federal. So this whole overview is what has created the tension that has led to this agitation for resource control.
Now, speaking of all the agitations and all that, we had a discussion with a very eminent professor of law very recently. We are going to broadcast that particular interview somewhere further down the line.
Yeah.
He spoke about this issue of resource control in the course of the discussions. And the one thing he kept referring back to, probably because of his profession, but it was actually a very pertinent fact, which was that if the constitution is not amended, several things are not going to happen. But the question that I keep asking myself is this: do you keep making amendments to the constitution to try to resolve a problem? Or do you actually look at that constitution and tell ourselves that even the foundation of that constitution in itself is a problem? Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah. The foundation of the constitution. You see, I can hear you. Yeah. You see, let me just tell you what a constitution is. A constitution is a document that is supposed to be created by the people for the government. That is what a constitution is, right? So then on the flip side, law is a document the government is supposed to produce for the people. So in the case of the 1999 constitution as amended, right? We cannot a proper constitution because it wasn't written by the people, and the people were not carried along in the creation of that particular document, right? So it was a document that was created by the military. So we can authoritatively say that particular document is a decree. So, and a decree is a first document or is a first law. That is what a decree is. So that's the literal meaning of a decree. It's a first law, you know. So how can you first law a constitution? The constitution is not supposed to be created by the government. It is supposed to be created. It is supposed to come from the people to the government. The constitution is a legal tender. It's a legal document that is created by the people to guide the government. So the government doesn't have any reason whatsoever to create a constitution for the people. It is the people that will create a constitution for the government. So it's a policy document. So we need to get that straight, right? So having said that, I have said to you that the constitution is amendment. So for that reason, it is an illegal document if you want to look at it from a legal point of view. So it's an illegal document. So that is why a lot of people don't believe in it. A lot of people feel that it is it is a fraudulent document that was created to enrich a certain group of people, and I'm one of those people that believe that this document is it's a fraudulent document that enriches a group of people. So let's get this straight. It is not a document that is created to enrich the North. It is not a document that is created to enrich the South. It is not a document that is created to enrich any part of the regions. It is a document that favors a group of people. So when we sit as Nigerians arguing and trying to drive our country to the next level, or try to drive our country, take our country from one level to the other, and we accuse ourselves of marginalization, a group marginalizing another group, I don't see it like that. I feel that it is different from different diverse social cultural background in the country that are actually marginalizing the entire country. So, and it is by the aid of this document that they use in doing that. So I'm one of those people that believe that that document is a faulty document. But having said that, we can't throw the document away. I mean, it's like I said, it's an albatross. It's hanging on us. So we have to fix it. So how do we fix it? That's why a lot of people have been clamoring about restructuring and all that kind of stuff. So and so how do you restructure? It's another different story entirely. Because to actually amend the constitution, it's an Herculean task to get the constitution to be amended. So, but what do we do pending? Because we have to deal with the amendment of the constitution at some point in our history. But before we get that document fixed, what do we do? That's the question. How do we move the country forward while waiting for the amendment to happen?
Now, when a lot of people talk, a lot of people feel that things are centered around the ethnic or religious lines in Nigeria. I personally, I don't think it is. I am in agreement with you that it is a case of there are a few people across all the divides who are benefiting from the albatross that the country is at this point in time. But some people are very, very particular about the issues of a few people benefiting and those people coming from a particular region of the country. Now, when you look at the Niger Delta has more or less been Nigeria's cash cow for several decades. Most of the projects in Nigeria are financed by oil revenue.
Yeah.
But when you go to the Niger Delta, you will see that there's a lot of underdevelopment in the Niger Delta. Oil spillage has made people redundant. They can't run farms. Their agriculture is dead, more or less. A lot of them can't even fish, which should have been one of the most prosperous trades to be in, especially when you look at the likes of the Hebrew fisheries from way back. But a lot of people have been suffering from not being able to practice agriculture in the Niger Delta. But out of all the angst and all the noise, the Niger Delta Development Corporation was formed. And according to the data that's available, about 11 trillion naira has been allocated to the Niger Delta Development Corporation. But there has been no development in the Niger Delta. Why do you think there has been no development in the Niger Delta?
Yeah, it boils down to what we just talked about. It is it has to do with corruption. See, one of the problems of our country, we cannot talk about development without talking about the things stalling development. And one thing stalling development in our country is corruption. And what is it that facilitates, or what is it that helps corruption thrive in our country? It is the Constitution that has aided corruption to thrive in our country. Mm-hmm. That's why, when we were talking a few minutes ago, we talked a lot about the illegalities in the Constitution, or the illegal nature that we came about that brought us about the Constitution. So now, this whole NDDC, you're talking about monies that have been allocated to the NDDC, and it hasn't translated into development. It still boils down to corruption. So what happens in the Niger Delta is that, like every other state in Nigeria, our governors in the Niger Delta and any other state or every other state in Nigeria are some of the worst people you can ever have a conversation with regards to development. These guys are some of the most corrupt people, right? They are some of the most corrupt people in the country, and they are some of the people that do not have respect for rule of law, justice, and equity. Mm-hmm. So they see the resources and the finances of the state as their own personal funds. So, and they treat it as such. So even when they have to get projects done, they do it with such laxity as if it were their monies that they were using in carrying out these projects. So bottom line is that we have a very corrupt system. We have corrupt running at them, right? And most of the monies that are allocated to these states in the Niger Delta, monies are always stolen. The monies are always stolen by those in government. And those in government that are supposed to be representing the people are the ones doing this to the people, right? So, and one of the reasons why we are in this whole quagmire is because of the system of government that we're running, which we have talked about, right? Look, there's nothing wrong with any system of government. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with system of government, but like I said, the military came and took us on a wild goose chase. So in order of hierarchy in the military, power tends to come from the top to the bottom.
Yeah.
So that's how they structured our system over the decades for as long as ran the system. So, but in a normal political atmosphere, right? The what is obtainable is that power should come from the bottom top,
Yeah.
So, but now the system that we have, because of these corrupt people, right? They want to centralize everything so that they are able to manage it, not to the benefit or to the betterment of the state, but they just want to have their hands in the jar so that they are able to do whatever they want to do with it at any time. So now the minority Senate leader said, he described Nigeria at some point that Nigeria is a feeding bottle democracy. So what does he mean by that? What he's basically trying to say is that every month, governors come to Abuja, will come to the center to collect allocation, and they go back. So there's no any system of wealth generation. So that has made the governors lazy. And they just get this bulk, this chunk of money in the state account, and they see this as something that, because they control it, as something that belongs to them. So this is where the corruption takes place. So they don't have developmental tendencies, because most of these monies, they are like free monies to them. They don't work for them. They don't earn this money, these so-called donors. So even though the money is part of the resources that is generated from their regions, right? So, but they don't earn this money. Nobody does anything as a governor anymore. Governors are just like, managers are even better. Governors are just like figureheads. They're just there to pay salaries and do all of these things that they do with the civil service, So, which is not supposed to be. A governor is supposed to be appraised. A governor is supposed to be able to create wealth, generate income, in forms of taxation and all this kind of stuff, create jobs for the people. But this hasn't happened in the Niger Delta because of corruption. You know what happened to the former governor of Delta State. You know what happened to the former governor of Bayelsa State. I'm not saying that they are the only corrupt governors in Nigeria, but they have had to pay dearly for their corrupt tendencies, one way or the other, and we saw it, and they went to jail, the ones that went to jail. So that is the narrative. The narrative is that monies are not spent where monies are supposed to be spent. They're supposed to be developing projects. They're supposed to be doing all of these things. I told you about a consortium that I'm involved in. I know the challenges that we're facing in Niger Delta with regards to this, to implementation of projects and all that, discussing with the state governors and their representatives. It's a difficult process, because there's always an expectation of feedbacks when it comes to dealing with these people. So corruption is the bottleneck, is the red tape that is setting the region back, and it is perpetrated by those in government. And
we're going to take a quick break, Dr. Patrick, and when we get back, we will come back to that issue of governors and their role in the development of Nigeria, and how each and every one of them has affected the issue of the resource control. We'll be right back shortly after this. Hello, good evening. If you're just joining us, you're welcome to another edition of Just Banter. Tonight, we're having a discussion with a very eminent fellow. His name is Dr. Patrick Ofolu. At the beginning of the show, I actually stated that he's a very unique fellow in the sense that he's one of the very few people who has had the benefit of practicing politics or being involved actively in politics on two continents. Dr. Ofolu, before the short break,
Yes, bro.
you were talking about the governors and the role that they play in terms of development in Nigeria. What I have found very peculiar about the system of governance that we run in Nigeria is the role that governors play in the development of their individual environments. Once a month, there is a jamboree at the center, which is the Federal Capital Territory of Abuja, where governors either go themselves or they send their commissioners of finance to go and collect, quote unquote, allocations. These allocations are created by these governors and nothing is done with it. Now, do you think it is the reason why they can collect this money and not do anything with it is because they actually do not have developmental plans in place in the initial, or should I say, ab initio, before collecting this money? So it's more or less a case of you get cash before you now decide on which projects you want to embark upon. Because a lot of them, at the beginning of every year, every financial year, they're supposed to be able to come out and tell the people, this is our plan of development in the coming financial year. But we don't see that happening. They just come out and talk about budgets, and those budgets are very ambiguous. Those budgets, they have no roadmap when they talk of those budgets. Do you think it's because they put the horse before the cart or the cart before the horse that you have this lack of development in Nigeria?
I'll tell you this, right? It is the situation that that the country has found itself with regards to this centralized system of government. So what this centralized system of government has done is that it has killed creativity that is supposed to be coming from the regions, right? From local governments, we call them councils here, from bottom. So it has killed creativity. So the governors are, they know that at every month end they will get an allocation. So what they do with the allocation is mainly they pay civil service salaries. Civil servant salaries from these allocations, right? So they are supposed to do other things.
But a lot of them says, but a lot of them don't pay. A lot of them don't pay. They still owe civil service, workers money. Some 3 months, 6 months.
Exactly. A lot of them don't even pay those salaries that we'll talk about. So, but the point I'm trying to make is that they have lacked creativity because of that singular phrase that the minority senate leader, I've forgotten his name now, said about Nigeria being a feeding bottle democracy. So what that means is that they fold their arms, and wait for the allocation to come. They don't think outside the box. So they don't have plans as to creativity and innovation, industrialization, and all of these things that will drive economies to become competitive. So because of these lapses, this is what is affecting development in the region. Yeah, you said something about not, most of them not having plans in place. Well, they do have plans in place, but the corrupt tendencies of these people make them look. You can be doing a project with a state government or a federal government, for instance, and you might just be asked to pay certain kind of amount of money, that will sabotage the actualization of the project. So when that happens, not because you haven't made some monies for yourself as a company or as a business, but you really don't have much more to add to actualize the project. So you know that I've paid the people that gave me this to do. So what else can I do? What I have left with is my profits. So the people tend to abandon projects and just walk away. And nobody's brought to book. The reason why nobody's brought to book is because exactly the Gunje aspect. Exactly. So nobody's to book because the people that are supposed to bring you to book, the people that are supposed to appraise the project, or they are the ones that have collected this money. So they just allow you to walk away, and it becomes one of those abandoned projects. The next administration will come and deal with it. So this has been the recurring polity, and this is the reason why we have been underdeveloped. It is corruption. It is corruption. The type of people we have at leadership levels. We have to find the way of fixing those people that finds their way into those places. We have to fix our selection MO. We have to come up with a new modus operandi on how to select people that will represent us. This crop of people that we have right now, if you ask me, they don't have any business in governance.
Now, speaking of this political class as is right now, when you look at the people in any democracy are the largest opposition to government. People are not asking for accountability the way they're supposed to ask for it. The people who have the power to actually recall politicians that have been elected to either the houses of assembly or the National Assembly as the House of Representatives and the Senate, but we have never seen that happen. The governors run roughshod, they run wild over the entire country. In a lot of cases, they can even hold the presidency to ransom. Now, when you look at this nature of politics that is played, and you look at this nature of politicians, how is resource control supposed to work? Is that not putting the cart before the horse when you talk of resource control and you do not have people who can actually manage those resources adequately in place in the first place?
The fact that something is bad and you are managing that thing that is bad. I'll use this analogy. You have a prisoner, right? A criminal. So you have incarcerated him. He's in your custody. He's in prison. So because he's a prisoner, he has killed somebody, he has stolen and all that, you are now saying, okay, I'm not going to feed him, I'll starve, So that is the analogy with the resource control. The resource control thing, because the governors or the people of government in this region, because they are saying that we the people, okay, now I'm talking as a Niger Delta now, we the people of Niger Delta shouldn't clamor for resource control, right? So at the end of the day, we are of the belief and we are hopeful that over time we will figure out how to select our leaders from the party level before they get into contesting for offices and all that. So we're thinking that it is possible for us to do that. So, but we can't be waiting to fix leadership before we start talking about resource control. So that is the reason why resource control will always be at the front burner of the region. Let me make a quick reference to the 18th century. If you remember what happened to King Jaja of Opobo, was, as a result, he was banished by the British, the people at the helm of affairs of the Royal Niger Company at the time. He was banished because he was looking for autonomy, some kind of leverage from taxation of palm produce, right? So he challenged the authority, and that was the reason why he was banished, from his region. So this was where some sort of resource control or autonomy, the quest for autonomy started from. Then you see people like Ken Saro-Wiwa, Isaac Boro, and all of these people, digging deep into this quest for resource control. I'm from that region. I grew up in the region for a bit. My parents retired back home at some point in our lives. So I had the opportunity of staying there. I was born in the north. I was born in Kaduna, but we went back to Delta it was former Bendel State, became Delta State. So I had a first-hand experience because I was living in my hometown at the time. So, and my hometown was, was an oil-producing community. So I saw a lot of things happening. There was pollution, there was spillage on our waterways. The land wasn't fertile. My parents became farmers after they retired from the military and went back home became farmers. So we weren't really maximizing our production with regards to farming because of all of the setbacks. So that is what the people of the Niger Delta are suffering. So when they talk about resource control, a lot of people misunderstand them, especially people that haven't started. Look, in the opening remarks, you said that for resource control, it's a federal phenomenon, but people haven't realized it because they haven't started, because of the centrality of or the exclusive nature of our resources being controlled by the federal government. People haven't realized that some minerals that is deposited in their region, they would benefit if the Niger Delta is able to, create a pathway for resource control. It will fall on them and they will benefit from it. But because they are not exploring those things right now, they think that the Niger Delta people that are clamoring for resource control are trying to shortchange them. But in actual fact, they're trying to set a pathway for the entirety of the country. There's huge mineral deposits, in the length and breadth of the country. So, but until people start exploring and exploit those resources, they wouldn't understand what these Niger Deltans have actually gone through and why they're putting their selves forward, despite all of the resistance from the federal government.
Resource control, true federalism, everything comes back to the issue of the Constitution. Now, one of our guests is asking a question, so I think I'll just put that on screen. And so she's asking, she said, people are calling for a change of the Constitution. How can we change it? Where do we start to even try to change the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
I said it before that it's going to be a Herculean task to change the Constitution. So, but the shortcut to changing the Constitution is to do it, right? So a lot of people will say, look, I am of the opinion that the Constitution must be changed. I don't know how they're going to do it. It's going to be a difficult task. But the shortcut to changing the Constitution is to keep possibly amending, right? And one of the shortcuts, like I said, is restructuring. So, and a lot of people will say restructuring means different things to different people. No, it doesn't. Yeah. Restructuring is restructuring. There's no different definition from the restructuring. Restructuring is to turn around, is to flip something. You know, this thing is not working. Let's flip it. So you and I know that there are I think there are about 68 elements or items in the exclusive lists. There's about something in the concurrent lists. You know, so the 60-something items or elements in the exclusive list that is within the purview of the federal government. I think the federal government need all of that. So if we are true to ourselves, we should be able to identify the things that the federal government doesn't need. Like, look, there's a project we're doing in the Niger Delta. We're trying to ease up the transport system in some of the states in Niger Delta. So we're exploring the waterways. But it is difficult to do anything on the waterway because it is within the purview of the federal. So we even when we're talking to the state government, and the state government are saying, yeah, you guys, we want you guys to do it, you know. But the bottleneck and the red tape to now move to the federal level and start opening up conversation again and all that. You might not have all of the opportunities, and I mean, you have already created an opportunity with state government. So they are saying, okay, we don't have control over that, but we want you to do it. So you need to go take certain clearance or approval from the federal government. And this has always been a challenge, you know. So people should, if we are genuine and true to ourselves, we should know that certain things in the exclusive list should be taken off the exclusive list. And this is where the devolution of power comes in, you know. And that is why people are saying, let's do true federalism. As a matter of fact, there's nothing like true federalism. Federalism is federalism. But if you want to say true federalism, it is because you want people, because Nigeria, the government, they're so I don't know how to describe them. They can be very, very corny. So that is why people added the word true to the federalism. So they want to hold the government accountable. If you want to give us federalism, let it be true. So let all the tenets of federalism be in this federalism that we are asking for. So that is the way, that is the shortcut to fixing or changing the constitution. We have to restructure, we have to restructure, we have to restructure. I can't emphasize it enough.
But restructuring basically means that you have to have an enabling law behind the restructuring. That still goes back to the constitutional issue. The question I am asked as a person, as an individual, you know, purely my own view is this.
Yes.
When you have elected members to the houses of assembly in the different states, and then you have, you know, elected officials to the Federal House of Representatives and to the Senate, why can't we reach out to those people that are supposedly supposed to be representing those different constituencies and say, this is our wish, and you, being our representative, must call for it to happen? Why is that not happening? That is, in my opinion, that's the shortest cut. Why is that route not being taken?
Yes, that is the reason why I said to you that there's a criminal tendency when the 1999 Constitution was created. So there was a criminal tendency surrounding or embodying the Constitution itself. So have you thought about this? That certain at the time in the arm of government, was it the Senate? Well, in the House of Assembly. So somebody was talking about the salaries of the lawmakers, and the guy was like, the salaries that if he gets there is going to publish the salaries of the lawmakers and all that kind of stuff. So, but when he eventually got there, he didn't do what he said he was going to do. So this is part of criminality that we're about. Once they get there, they become part of the system, right?
Yeah.
So, and they cannot eat themselves. So if you're there, the idea is not for you to eat yourself. So they feed on you and I. So they can't eat themselves. So that is the reason why it is difficult to, when you say, okay, let the people that we elected do work for us. That is how it's supposed to. The United Kingdom doesn't have a constitution.
Really?
Yes, the United Kingdom doesn't have a constitution.
This is the first time I'm hearing that.
So because they operate parliamentary system of government. So the people representing them is, I told you something about the constitution being a document that is generated by the people for government. So now, in the United Kingdom, the parliamentarians are elected by the people. So the people go there to do the bidding of the parliament to do the bidding of the people. So there's no any document that was created to guide them, apart from possibly their manifestos and what they have agreed to go and do, what they agreed with the people to go and get done in the house. So they don't really have any policy document that is guiding them with the constitution. So this is exactly the point, So if our people, if we elect our people to go and represent us, they should be able to do what we want them to do. But it is not the case in Nigeria, because these people are corrupt people, basically, because the constitution in itself is corrupt. It's a document.
For most people who look at the issue of governance in Nigeria, they would say that the National Assembly members taking so much money is outrageous. A lot of people have no idea how much governors earn. A lot of people have no idea what the allowances for governors are. It is obvious that the system of governance in Nigeria is way over bloated. It is ineffective. Recently, I listened in on a conference.
Absolutely.
by Nigerians in diaspora, and they were talking about the issue of the upcoming elections, Nigerians in diaspora being able to vote. And then one of the panelists came up with an idea where Nigerians in diaspora will be able to elect a representative in the diaspora to go and represent Nigerians in diaspora at the National Assembly. And I was asking myself, if we are already talking about having an over-bloated, system of governance, why would we want to add so much more to such a system? Rather than addressing the problems that are pertinent to us and saying, okay, you know what, Nigeria is a peculiar country. Let's come up with our own peculiar system of governance that can work for us. Maybe the closest thing we can come to, as an arrangement is the parliamentary system, go back to regionalism, and let us see how each of the regions can develop.
Yeah.
Every region, this is my opinion, not the opinion of, of fromaradio.com. This is my personal opinion. Every region in Nigeria can be self-sustainable. Yeah. Every region in Nigeria is blessed with more than enough for each one to run independently. Now imagine them being able to run effectively as regions and then being part of one country and how much can be achieved. But a few selfish interests would never let that happen. The old guard keep on selling the idea of religious division or ethnic division. I've always stated this, and I'll continue to state this.
Exactly.
And as I said, personal opinion, Nigeria is not a country that has tribes. Nigeria should not be a country that is discussing along ethnic lines, because you have nations within the nation called Nigeria. So we should all be able to act responsibly and talk as nations within that nation. When it comes to the issue of resource control, we need to start to address the fact that what we already have, we are not making use of it. We need to start looking for people who can look at the issues on ground and say, okay, you know what, this is useful, and this is not useful. But until we have good followership, we probably might never be able to with good leadership in Nigeria. My personal opinion, I don't know what your opinion is about that.
No, you're very right. You're very right. See, there's no system, there's no country in the world, right? That look, whatever it is you want to do, if you are not involved, the only way you can make an impact in your country is to get involved in the political process. If you do not get involved in the political process, you won't be able to make so much of an impact. If you like become a social activist, if you like become a charitable person that wants to drive charity, become anything you want to become. Every one of those things that I have mentioned, right, will depend on politics for them to be able to thrive. So politics actually determines everything that happens in a nation. So they are the ones that forms policies that will make a nation become a nation. So if you do not get involved in politics, you won't be able to change anything. So let's get that straight. That is the reality. So most of our youths, most of our people do not want to get involved in politics. They describe politics as a dangerous game. That is a dirty game and all that. Yeah, it is a dirty game, but you have to find a way to deal with all of these things that people describe wrong with politics. You know? So don't do that, then you leave politics in the hands of the old guards, and this is the result that you will always get if it rests in the hands of the old guard. And power is not given, power is taken. You know, if you want power, you have to go grab. It's not like you're going to steal it. You go and look. Politics is about it's determined by people, by population, by consensus. So you get in there as a person, then you go through the ranks and you build bridges, you make arguments, you put your points out there, you build consensus, and you find yourself at the top of the system at some point that you will now be able to make a difference. So that is how people grow. That's how people grow in politics in this part of the world where we live. But in Nigeria, it's a different ball game. But that's not to say you should be discouraged or the Nigerian people should be discouraged. If you look at what is happening in Nigeria, most of the youths do not care about politics. What they care about is well, let me not prejudge them. They care about other things. I don't want to name names. They care about other things. They don't care about politics, and this is a huge problem. They need to get involved in politics. Here, there's the youth wing of all political parties here. So from secondary school, you join the youth wing of any political party if you're interested, and then they always have retreats and all that kind of thing. So they build them. The former minister of health of this country joined politics at the age of 17. And 21, he had already become minister of health. So this is the point. So, and he has started making change with regards to his belief. He has started making policies, creating impact in his community and his country. So if you don't do that, if you don't get involved in politics, then the old guard will always be a step ahead of the youths. And this is the problem that we're experiencing in Nigeria.
Don't you think the youth have been disillusioned? I mean, when you look at the issue of, like you said, the former prime minister, in Ireland, former health minister, former prime minister, starting his political career at the age of 17. But when you have the sociocultural issues you have in Nigeria, where an elder has to be, revered, and the leader of the youth wing of the party is 64 years old. How do you reconcile that? Where is the youth going to start to be able to form an ideology and be able to say, okay, you know what, this is the impact I want to make in future? When somebody is leader of the youth wing of the party and is 64 years old. there's going to be a lot of disillusionment. So there are a lot of things that, that has to be addressed when it comes to that.
You see, we've yes. Like, I mean, if I don't know how true this is. I heard that the constitution of the PDP and the constitution of the APC was written on man. So this is exactly what we're talking about. So that is why I said to you, the constitution is supposed to be written by the people. So if you want to write the constitution of a party, you should bring the people together, the people of that party together to design the constitution. So not that one constitutional lawyer, one sage, will just give you people a document. No matter how beautiful and great that document is, it's not going to serve the purpose, because people at the end of the day might be decided for whatever reasons. It might not be purposeful. It may just happen, So like here, the constitutions are written by by the interested parties. They're not just written by. They don't contract them out to people to write. If you want to do a business plan, even if you have to contract somebody to do a business plan for you as a businessman, the person putting the business plan together would want you to make an impact. The business belongs to you, and it is that document that you use to drive your business. So he doesn't know all of the things that that you want to do with this business. So you don't just give somebody a document to do for you. So, but like I said to you, I don't know how true it is, but I heard that the constitution of the APC and the constitution of the PE was written by one man. So that is a problem with regards to the kind of politics that we have or we run in Nigeria.
Okay, Dr. Ofolu, this has been a very interesting and engaging session. We appreciate the fact that you are able to take out the time to join us tonight. And quite a few questions answered. And Nigerians still have quite a few more questions to ask. Now, these questions that Nigerians want to ask, we are going to continuously try our best to try and bring on as many of the politicians as possible in the run-up to election campaigns starting and all of that. If you were going to give one word of advice, considering your unique experience having practiced politics on 2 different continents, what will be that one sentence of advice that you will give to Nigerians in terms of changing things around?
You see, the interest of any one of us should primarily be Nigeria. So Nigeria should come first in whatever it is that we're doing. Every other thing will come after our position as Nigerians. So every other thing will come afterwards. So give whatever it is that you do, put Nigeria first, do Nigeria, breathe Nigeria, eat Nigeria. If you do that way, you put the country at the center of all of the things you want to do. And Nigeria, great country. That is what most people in this part of the world do. They love their country. They make sacrifices for their country. They do not want to They do not want to defraud or rip their country of anything. Instead, they want to give. They want to give back the country. They want to add value. So that is one of the things in the political sphere in Nigeria. People go into government to enrich themselves, to enrich their families. That is not it's not a good thing, and that has destroyed the fabric of our political process and our political sphere so far. Until we do that, would just be going nowhere.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ofolu. We have been, very, very, very excited to finally catch you and be able to bring you up on the show at this time of or this time of the year. We know this is a very busy time for you. Like I said, we've been chasing you for close to a year, so it's pretty interesting having you on. We'd like to say a very big thank you to you, and we hope to have you on again sometime soon in the near future, where we can further discuss a bit more about politics in Nigeria and how things can be changed. Thank you so much for taking out the time to join us tonight.
The pleasure is mine, Habib. Thanks so much for having me, and well done for the great job that you're doing. Thank you very much for the privilege.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate that. All right. Good night. So, Dr. Ofolu there, quite a few bombs that he has dropped. He has enlightened us about a few questions that people, were asking, myself included, about the issue of resource control, the clamor for it, and how it could be achieved. I was always of the opinion that we needed to fix the leadership in the country before you started talking of how to manage the resources of the country. I did not think it could be done, side by side. I thought you had to pick one first. But, what do I know? Very little, if you ask me. So, when we look at the issue of governance in Nigeria, still a lot of questions to be asked, still a lot of suggestions, being thrown in different directions. And we're going to be talking to somebody very soon about the issue of governance in Nigeria. In the meantime, we would like to still talk about our social issues, which we always talk about on FromARadio.com and on Just Banter, which first we always start with the issue of rape. Our campaign is still on against rape. We still say no to rape. We still say rape is something that is killing societies all over the world, and people need to continuously fight against it. So please use any one of the hashtags on the screen, say something about it. Let people know that you're against this primordial, barbaric act called rape. We need to wipe it out. We need to wipe it off the surface of the earth so that our women and our children, even the elderly, are vulnerable in a lot of cases. So we need to work against it. We need to make sure that it stops and it ends. COVID-19, still very real. A lot of people are taking jabs right now. So I would suggest to you, if you can get your jabs, get them as quickly as possible, because it's going to stall quite a few things, especially when it comes to travel. I love to travel, so I am looking forward to getting my own jabs as quickly as possible. So I would suggest that you get yours as well. There is no harm in, taking precautionary measures if the precautionary measures are available. So you might as well just try and protect yourself and protect your family and friends from getting infected with the deadly virus. We hope to see you again next week Sunday when we talk to another very interesting guest, and we'll be picking on quite a few issues as usual. So thank you so much for taking out the time to join us tonight, and you have a great week ahead. Good night.